Hey y'all, Dawn here with 7 Acres Homestead. I haven't done a garden update in a little bit, so I decided to come out today, being a beautiful day. Today's November, I think the 5th. Since I don't work in an office, I don't always keep up with the exact date. Isn't that awful and wonderful at the same time? Today we're going to be doing the garden update, and I'm going to take you guys along and show you kind of how everything is going that you've seen us planting in previous videos. So this is my lettuce tower that I planted some multiple types of lettuce in, and they are really starting to sprout out. That cold spurt we had might have slowed them down just a little bit, but they are actually doing pretty good. And I will tell you that my spinach tower that I planted has done absolutely nothing. And it's weird because last year I planted spinach and it all grew up and did great, and so I'm not quite sure what's going on with this. It may be that my seeds are older than they needed to be, so I'm going to go ahead and order some more spinach seeds, and we will try this one again. These two tomato plants, I have not trimmed those down yet, but I'm getting ready to trim all that off, and we're going to put those in the greenhouse to overwinter. And we'll see how those will do. Here is my peppermint that started out as about 3 little sprigs that I bought at Tractor Supply one day. And I have given my son and his wife some cuttings off of this. And as you can see, it is like prolific. I mean, it is just gone from a little tiny blob of leaves to this big old bucket full. In fact, there's probably too much for this one bucket. And I hear that peppermint does this, like it grows nuts, and you have to really contain it, because if you don't, it'll go everywhere. And this is kind of a really good example of that, because I honestly have watered it, put a little bit of fertilizer in there, and that's it. That's all I've done to that, and it's just grown like crazy. So this bed right now has absolutely nothing in it, and that's okay. That is okay. Over here we have the asparagus going. And this is its first year. Move that. This is its first year, so we're kind of letting it get established right now. We're not doing anything with it really. Trying to let the root system grow. I got one little sad stalk of asparagus right there, as you can see, which is fine. We're not going to harvest that. We had no intention of harvesting this. This needs to grow for at least 2 years. So when these little fuzzy pieces start to die off, we'll just cut those back and let those roots grow over the winter. And then next year, we'll let it grow a second year. And then when we get to the 3rd spring, we're going to move it to a big bed and just let it go bonkers. This is one of my bell peppers, which has done really, really well. I don't know if you can see this. This has got like 10 peppers on it right now. This one is like a huge one. It looks really, really good. As soon as the weather cooled down, this thing kind of just went bonkers. So I've got little peppers all over the place that are growing on this thing. There's like 3 on this branch. There's one here. So for a small pepper plant, it's not doing bad at all. There's 5 or 6 on that other branch over there. This is one I'm getting ready to move into the greenhouse, and we are going to keep this one over winter as well. My chickens are trying to chime in here, y'all. They want their spotlight. So, this is my fig plant that I have not moved into the greenhouse yet. The reason being is the fire ants, decided to take up residence in this pot. And I got chewed up pretty good earlier, so I put cornmeal on there. And now I don't know if it kills them or if it drives them away, but I will come out here tomorrow and those ants will be gone. So I will move it once that happens. This is another one of my pepper plants. It has not grown as much this year. This one kind of was stunted, but as you can tell, I've got a pepper there. I've got 2 more over here on this other side that are growing. This is another pepper plant that got majorly stunted, and it is just now starting to grow, which is nuts to me. It's got one little teeny tiny baby pepper right there. Oops, nope, it fell off. Okay, JK, give it to the pigs. Here you go, guys. These 2 tomato plants, I have already trimmed them off and down some. They were clones that I took off my other tomato plants and just grew. And these are also going to go into the greenhouse to keep over the winter and see how they go. This was the volunteer cucumber plant that we've been following along out here. And it is a little sad looking right now. That cold spell really did not do it a whole lot of good. And we did, as you can see, I got the row covers here. We did have this covered during that cold spell. But covering it just really did not seem to help. And cucumbers are really hot weather plants. So these do much better. I was just hoping I'd have at least one I could put in the greenhouse over the winter. Maybe get a couple cucumbers off of it. But if not, you know, no big deal. It was a volunteer plant. These were my sweet potato slips that I was experimenting with. Didn't really plan on doing anything with these because it wasn't the right time of year to grow sweet potatoes. I just wanted to see how hard it would be to grow these slips. And it wasn't hard at all, y'all. I mean, look at all this. This is crazy. So next spring, probably more like January or so, I'll start trying to grow some of these slips in the greenhouse. And then once the weather is warm enough, I will plant my sweet potatoes outside. Right here, we have 2 more little pepper plants. And again, I guess it was the heat. Because these 2, they sprouted, they sat there and didn't grow forever. And especially this one now that the weather has cooled off, it is really taking off. As you can see, it's got some little peppers on there and some more flowers. So that'll probably be another one that I will keep for the greenhouse. Now, if you guys watched the video where Lundy and I planted peas, these are the peas that we planted. And as you can see, I have my row cover here. And when we thought we were getting a frost, which we got below freezing. How much of an actual frost it was, I don't really know. But we did get below freezing by a couple of degrees, about 3 or 4 nights in a row. And I covered all of this with the row covers to protect it. And it's still doing great. We have flowers all over everything. Hoping this is focusing pretty good here. And on some of these, we actually have little pea pods already growing. Let me get down here and see if I can find one of the ones. Ah, here we go. If you guys can see this or not. That's got a pea pod on it. We've got some little pods growing through here. And had some really good ones down here somewhere. Anyway, so it's looking like we're going to have some peas start coming off of these, which I'm really excited about. Hey, Stella, are you excited about it too? And because I wanted to really grow enough of these peas for us to eat and for us to can some as well. So, again, I'm real excited about the peas. Our 3 little sad green bean plants that made it this summer are still going. They don't look as great since we had the cool weather, but they are still growing green beans on them. As you can see right here, we still have some green beans coming in. I covered these with these pots to keep the frost off of them, and I'm sure that that didn't hurt. Whether or not it helped, I don't know. My broccoli is still going. Only about half of this broccoli made it, but that's fine. That's probably more than we're going to be able to eat anyway, so I will probably be either freezing or canning some broccoli too. So over here is my bed with the beets and turnips in it, and they're doing really good. At least if greenery is any indication. I haven't pulled any of these up out of the ground yet, so I don't know how big my turnips are. It may just be a whole bunch of turnip greens. But let's see if we can get down in here and see. That looks like a pretty good sized turnip growing in there. So I believe we're going to have some turnips also. So we'll see what happens when we harvest those. The next thing is my garlic and onion bed. Now this is my first year to grow onions over the winter. I'm being told by a lot of my counterparts here in East Texas that a lot of them grow onions over the winter and then they harvest them in the summer. So this half of the bed over here is onions. This half of the bed over here is garlic. There's a lot more coming up than what you see. I went ahead and put hay on here to kind of keep the warmth in this bed for a little bit longer. Today it's 70 degrees out here, so it's, 70, 75. But when we had that cold spell, I wanted to make sure that these tops didn't die off any sooner than they had to. My understanding is, and again, this is my first time to do this, but my understanding is that if the tops do die off in the winter, they will sprout right back up in the spring. So these will continue to grow while they're in the ground. The root portion of it will. And of course, we all know that that's the yummy part. So this is the big long bed. This dirt has settled a little bit in this bed, which I'm not surprised because we just recently did this bed and filled it up. But this whole end right here, this whole third of the bed, I planted carrots. And these first 3 rows, let's see if I can get down here where you can see this. I don't know how well you can see this. Stella, come here. I have some sprouts coming up for the carrots right there. These couple rows here are doing real well. I've got several coming up there. This last batch of carrot seeds, it doesn't look like it's done much of anything. I have 1 or 2 little sprigs coming up. And I don't know if that's the type of seeds that I had, or I don't know what the deal is with those. Now, right here, you guys can see this row. This is cabbage. And I've got 1, 2, 3 rows of cabbage. And a lot of these are starting to come up. These next 3 rows, 4 rows, are Brussels sprouts. So I've got some coming up along here. I've got a couple spots where there's a whole bunch of them growing, and then I got a couple spots where there's none of them growing, and the cat is going to smush all of them. Get down from there, baby. So we'll kind of see how that goes. A couple of the ones that are too close together, I'll probably just move to an empty spot when it gets big enough to where I don't have to worry about root shock too much. Now right here, I did plant some celery seeds. And those are all starting to pop up. Let's see if I can get this on camera. You guys can actually see. There we go. Those are sprouts from the celery seeds. Let's see. There's some sprouts from the celery seeds. You can kind of see those on camera. So I've got a whole row of those coming up here. I did plant some other celery seeds at the end of this row where the onions are. And I don't really know if any of those have come up or not. That was kind of an experiment to plant store-bought celery seed just to see if it would grow. But it doesn't really look like it did anything. So I think we have our answer to that particular experiment. But we'll see. Who knows? Maybe it'll come up in the spring. So that's our garden update for today.